I can't wait to see you guys because I miss you. Okay, so what we're going to do today is I'm going to sit here at my computer for a few minutes and show you how to use the software in Cricut to make English paper piecing pieces. I have also, and actually let me get the link for it here for you. I have made I've made a project that's all 1-inch paper pieces with lots of the pieces that people like to use often. So if you have a Cricut and you use the Cricut software, you can open this link. Let me put it here. You can open this link in the Cricut software. Looks like it's going to work. Sometimes Facebook doesn't like my links. Looks like that one's going to work. And if you open that in the Cricut software, you'll be able to get the pieces that I have already sized for you at 1 inch. So there's 1-inch diamonds, 1-inch squares, the jewel shaped pieces, there's a hexagon, what else? I can't think what the other ones are, but anyway, so what I'm going to do is share my screen and I'll show you those pieces there too. So go ahead and share my screen and move out. Now you're seeing my lips moving. So here's my Cricut software. And let me make sure that I can still see you guys here. Hold on. So I want to be able to see if you're asking questions. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is what I just shared with you. Is this, and it is hexagons. So over here on this side of the board is all hexagons. Now this will cut and you won't have any waste in between the pieces. This will cut out of a 12-inch square of fabric or of paper. And what I did with this is one of their own pieces, but I made sure that it got sized properly because their pieces are not sized correctly because they're not quilters. So when they say they have a 1-inch hexagon, they're measuring from point to point instead of measuring a side. So a 1-inch hexagon for us, for English paper piecing, should be a 1-inch side on your hexagon, and they're measuring like a diameter instead. So I've resized this so it's an actual 1-inch. And then I also put the little circles in the center. So what it'll do is cut a little circle out of the center of the hexagon. So if you're using this as your paper piece, it's easy to get that piece out. You can just put a pin or the end of your scissors in there and flip it right on out after you've basted it. So that makes it easier to get out of the back of your fabric. And here are, so I have multiplied these to be 6 of each piece, but what we have is a half hexagon, a square, this is the jewel shape, and a triangle, and these are all 1-inch side pieces. So these fit together in a piece. You can take this hexagon, put the jewel around it and make a star. You can, I'll show you when we go over to my cutting table after we cut the pieces, how they all fit together. And you can, the cool thing about this is you can cut tons and tons of them because you're cutting them for yourself. And so it'll be really inexpensive. You just have some cardstock or some paper and you can cut a bunch of them and make your own designs. You know, you just take all the pieces and put them together in all different ways and you can make your own designs. It's super fun. I love it. It's like making a puzzle. So these are all the pieces and they're sized to 1 inch. But what I wanted to do is show you kind of how I do that. Now, if you know somebody who is a good mathematician, and I used to be able to do this many years ago, but I haven't done geometry in a really long time. Can you guys hear me okay? Just let me know. I haven't done geometry in a really long time, so I'm sure if you know somebody who's good with math, or my husband, the engineer, could tell you exactly how to figure this all out, where you could just pick a piece and then tell it what size you want the side to be, and it would come out right. But I just use the grid. The grid is accurate on here, so this grid that you see on here is 1 inch, so that's 11 inches from the side. You know, that's 1 inch, that square is. So I just use that, and I put my pieces, whatever I want it to be an inch, I just make sure that it comes out an inch on the side where I want it to be. Great, thanks, Shelly. So all of these pieces are correct. I have cut this and put them all together to make sure that they all fit together, and they do. So all these pieces are correct. So if you're using my my template that I just put a link in for you, then the pieces will be the correct size. But what you can do, so I just want to show you how you can make these for yourself, and you don't have to go and choose, you don't even have to use my pieces if you don't want to. There is over here on the left-hand side is a icon that says shapes. And when you click on it, it gives you all these different shapes that you can make. So you've got a pentagon, a hexagon, an octagon, a diamond, a triangle, a square. And basically I just use those. So if you choose square, it comes out some weird size, 3.1111 square. Okay, that's crazy. But all you do is grab this little arrow, double arrow thing down here at the bottom. And when you drag it, it makes it scale. So it stays a square, always a square when you do that. And the only time that would change is up here where it says size. If you unclick this little lock, because that locks the proportions. If you unclick that lock, you can actually make that into a rectangle if you want to. So we can do that later, but for now, we're just gonna leave it a square. And I just take that and I line it up on the grid if I want it to be a 1-inch square, and I just make it a 1-inch square, just like that. Or you can take it with a square, this works. With the other pieces, it doesn't. But if it's a square, you can just click on it, and then up here at the top, you can size it to just type 1 and enter, and it'll make it a 1-inch square perfectly. So that's how you make a square. With the, like this jewel shape, I made that myself. And what it is it's partially a hexagon. So if I take this hexagon and put it over it, you can see it's partially a hexagon with a triangle on top. So if you take, I just want to show you how to make a piece like that. So let me move this down so we have some space here. Is all of this kind of making sense? I hope so. So if you have a hexagon and you want to make that jewel piece, like any of these pieces that you see that you want to make, you know, look like that. Okay, so that's that jewel piece we know is a hexagon with a triangle on top. So here's our hexagon, and then we're going to grab a triangle. So we have a hexagon and a triangle. I want my hexagon to be 1 inch on the side, so I'm going to make it a 1 inch on the side. And I happen to know that that makes it a 2-inch diameter, so I could just type in 2 inches, but go ahead and make this 1 inch just by lining up the grid. And so see, it says 1.968. I'm going to go ahead and type in 2 because I know that that makes it a 2-inch. 2-inch diameter is a 1-inch hexagon. And then this triangle, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make this 1 inch on the side. Actually, I think that makes it 1 inch if you just do 1. So now these two will fit together. And if I grab them both at the same time and then click the align, and I align center horizontally and align, let's see, if I align vertically, that won't work. If I align center, that won't work. Okay, so I'm going to Control Z and get rid of it, make it go back to where it was. Okay, so now they're lined up perfectly in the center because I just aligned them in the center. Center horizontally. Okay, so now they're lined up perfectly, but they're not together. They're two pieces. So if I went to cut this, it would cut a hexagon, it would cut a triangle. So what I want to do is make them be one piece. So I'm going to highlight both pieces. And down here on the right-hand side, there's a little thing that says weld. And if you click that, oh, they have to be, oh, it's stuck. Sorry, hold on. It's kind of a pain software sometimes. So it's going to take a minute because it's thinking. Tell me about what you're doing. You're not late, Jenny. How you doing? I'm glad you can too. I'm just waiting for the computer to catch up, you guys. Sorry. It's being slow. See, it won't do anything now. It's stuck. It's stuck. It'll move around, but this part won't do anything. Ah, there we go. Okay. Now it's welded together. See, it was just taking a long time to weld it, but now it's all one piece. So you just line them up together, put them together, and then you click that little button on the bottom that says weld, and that makes them into one piece. So we just made that little jewel shaped piece that fits with the hexagons. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that because we don't need it because I've already made a bunch of them. So now, yeah, so I've done this a bunch of things like this. I even made a thing that looks like a seam ripper because I wanted to make a little vinyl thing that was a seam ripper that said, I'll cut a stitch. So I've done all kinds of weird things. I've taken circles and cut other circles out of them to make other things. It's crazy, but you can make all kinds of different shapes just by using the shapes that they have there. Also, if you go into images and you have access, which is their images software, you can type quilt and search, and you'll get pictures of quilts. I've showed you this before, but you also get these shapes. So if you grab a hexagon shape, just remember, it says the cut size is 7 inches. That means 7 inches in diameter. It doesn't mean a 7-inch side. And of course, we know we want sides when we're talking about hexagons. But that's the way you can find, here's like a 1-inch square. So here's some of the different things you can do that are quilt pieces. And the way they come out is cut without any space in between them. So you're not wasting any fabric with those ones. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and go back to our board here. And I'm going to show you, so I'm going to show you actually cutting it. I know you guys have seen me cut things. Do you want me to show you cutting the shapes, or does that even matter to you guys? Because there's a couple of other things that I wanted to show you. So, so these are 1-inch pieces. You can always resize these yourselves and make them into bigger pieces. You can do whatever you want, find other shapes you like. Even cutting some circles in half would make some neat petal shapes. There's all kinds of things you could do. So if you go to make it from here, it'll give you 2 mats. The first mat is these geometric shapes that I made. The second one is the hexagon one. Because they're 2 different colors, it'll cut them out of 2 different mats. So I would use this for paper, whatever. Okay, you want to see me cut it? Okay, I will. So this is how it's going to cut on the mat. And what it will do is it will try to line everything up so it gives you, it makes as little waste as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. And it's looking for my machine, which is connected. I'm using cardstock. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back to, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, switch back to my camera. There we go. And now I'm going to switch over to the other camera so you guys can see the machine. Okay. So this is a light grip mat because I'm cutting paper. Just get a piece of cardstock. And I'm just going to put the cardstock on the mat. These mats are super grippy, even though this is the light grip. And I'm gonna switch this camera around so that it's not backwards. Oops. Sorry. Didn't mean to turn it off. There, now it's not backwards anymore. Because it bugs me. Okay. So I've just put some paper onto the mat. The other thing I'm going to show you is how to get the paper off without making it all curly, because when it's stuck so good, it makes it curly when you take it off. Okay, so once you get it in there and once this starts blinking, you just press the button. And now it's going to think for a second, and then it is going to go and cut. Don't forget when you're cutting that if you've switched from fabric to paper, you need to change your tool out. So I have my knife blade in instead of my rotary blade. And it is cutting the pieces. The good thing about this is you can go do something else while it's cutting, so you don't have to sit and watch it if you don't want to. I love watching it. I don't know why. I think it's fun, but I'm weird. If I hadn't cut so many pieces, it would have been done a long time ago, but hey, it's always good to have more paper pieces than less, right? It's almost done. Okay, so it's done. So you can't see it yet, but when I take the cardstock off, it's backing. There's all the pieces. Now, as you see, when I pull that off, it makes my paper all curly because it's had stuck to the mat. You don't want your pieces to be curly when you pull them off. So I'm not going to cut anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. So the way to get your pieces off your mat so that they don't curl up on you is instead of peeling your pieces off, you're going to peel your mat off the pieces. So you just pull the mat back. It doesn't hurt it at all. Can you see what I'm doing here? There. Let me move this out of the way a little bit. So you just pull the mat back like this, and you peel the mat off the pieces instead of peeling the pieces off the mat, and then they don't get curled up. doesn't hurt your mat. That's one of my favorite tricks. So there's a bunch of pieces. There's a bunch of pieces still on the mat. Now, the really handy dandy thing I wanted to teach you is if you want to fussy cut, oh yeah, Sue, I'm sorry I can't help you with the about the brother because I've never used it. I don't use the brother at all, so sorry about that. But because it doesn't have a rotary cutter, so, and the only thing I really want to use it for is sewing, and I'm not a big paper person, so anyway. So those are those pieces, but I just wanted to show you that the pieces are the right size. You can make all kinds of fun little things. Here's the little, the jewels with your little hexagon to make the little star flower piece. Can you see this? Turn it down. There we go. I didn't pull all of them off, so here's some of the other ones that I cut earlier. Make a little star flower piece, and then the hexagons will fit. Sorry, it keeps moving around. Let's get this. There we go. And then you can use your little half hexagons, and they fit right here, like this. And then you can put another hexagon here, and it fits in there like that. So you could like have your little flowers that are connected by these little hexagons, and these ones could be different colors. It could all be so fun. And you could just make all kinds of fun mosaic sort of things. You could put your squares with your triangles, and oh, anyway, it's just so much fun. It's like making a puzzle. So those are your paper pieces for making your EPP. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you, and I have to show you it on my phone because so I don't know if you guys know this, but you can run your Cricut from your phone. And there is one thing that you can do with your phone or your iPad that you can't do with a desktop. So I wanted to show you. So I have put some Tiny Farm fabric on this fabric mat. And I wanted to show you how you can fussy cut your fabric with your Cricut. So I'm going to show you on the phone. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. This is a video. So what I'm doing is clicking on, this is just 3 big hexagons that I have put on a mat. And down here in the corner, there's a thing that says Snap Mat. You click on that, and you just keep moving your phone farther and farther away until it takes the snap of the mat. And then you give it a second, and what comes up is this, and hopefully you can see this on the camera. There's darker spots where the hexagons are. And you can click on the hexagon and move it wherever you want to on the mat so that you can fussy cut out of your fabric. So I've done that one. Now I clicked on that one, and I'm moving it around, and I'm picking that little house. And I had to move it because it had crossed over this other one. You can do the same thing with this one. And as you see, it's got this little half circle. If you click on that, it'll let you rotate the piece if you want to fussy cut and move it around, you know. So anyway, that is just a little video that I screenshot on my phone so you could see how the Snap Mat works. But that's the name of the function on your phone. It's called Snap Mat. And all you do is just go in on your phone, go into your project, click Snap Mat, and then it will take a picture. You just move far enough away from your mat that it'll take the picture. As soon as it takes the picture, then you can move the pieces around to where you want it to fussy cut your fabric, and then you put your mat in and it'll cut those pieces where you want them to be cut. So I think that's a pretty cool feature. So Sue, the reason that it would come loose, I mean, at least I know with the Cricut, the reason it would come loose on your, hold on a sec, gotta move it back so you guys can see me. There we go. So the reason it would come loose from your mat, hun, is because your mat's probably dirty or it's been used quite often. If that happens, at least with the Cricut ones, now I don't know with Brother, I'm assuming they're similar. You can clean them, use some dishwashing soap usually will work. And once you clean it, usually it gets sticky again. And then you can go ahead and stick your pieces to it again. I had that happen actually a little while ago because I was using the light grip mat, but it was one of my old ones. This is a brand new mat, so it's working good. But one of my old ones, the paper doesn't stick very well to it anymore. If you have old mats and you don't want to buy a new one, the trick is to use some washi tape and just washi tape your paper down to the mat on the edges, and then it'll stay pretty well. So that's the trick for that. Anyway, so I hope that was fun. And a lot of people don't know about the snap mat feature. So I thought I would tell you about that since we like to fussy cut for our English paper piecing. And oh, the other thing I wanted to show you how to do, let me switch back to my screen again. Share, okay. So I'm going to go back to the Cricut. I'm going to cancel out of this. So the other thing you can do with your pieces is if you want to cut yourself some pieces where you can use them for fussy cutting with, so like make a little frame instead of the solid piece. So this would be the piece that you would use to wrap your fabric around, right? You know, to actually sew your pieces. But if you want to use it as a template to cut your fabric so that you can like fussy cut little pieces like your hexagons and things. So you want a little like a window out of the center of this. Just take your piece and you can duplicate it by clicking this button up here, as somebody told me before. I knew that, but I always just do Control V. So Control C, Control V, that makes you a second one. And then just make that smaller and put it inside your other hexagon like this. And then if you highlight them both, go to Align and Center. That makes sure that that second hexagon is right in the center of the other one. And then you need to attach them. So highlight them both again. And down here where there's a little paper clip here on the right hand side on the bottom, you click Attach. And now if I go to Make It, you'll see this one is going to cut out a center hexagon and an outside hexagon. That outside one you can use as your little like viewer, if you will. And so you can fussy cut your pieces with that piece because you'll have your little window in the center. And you can do that with all of your other pieces too, whatever you want to do. So I hope that helped. And I'm going to right click this and detach it and get rid of this one so that it's not confusing to anyone. And there you go. So you can copy and paste these a million times in here. You can get rid of all of them and use just the hexagons. You can do whatever you want. And then cut as many pieces of paper as you want to and just go to town. Have fun and make a little puzzle out of all of your paper pieces. I'm going to mess around with mine. I'm thinking about a design with that star and the hexagons, making like a chain out of them. I think it'd be really fun. Maybe it'll make a really neat little quilt. So I'm going to try it out. So, oh yeah, thanks, Sue. So I did a little video about English paper piecing where I showed you how to do that with a craft knife and cutting out the pieces in the center. But if you have a Cricut, it's a great way, or a scan and cut, or a Silhouette, any of those things, you can go ahead and cut them with your machine. It makes it a lot easier for you. Thanks, Anne. It is fun. And for all the same reasons, I love my Cricut. Anyway, so I hope you guys had fun, and I'm going to stop sharing now so I can just talk to you guys for a second. So I hope this was fun, and next week we'll be back to sewing something instead of doing software. But I had a bunch of people ask for this. Stephanie actually just bought a Cricut maker, and so she was really interested. And then I had a couple other people who really wanted to see how to do this. So the one thing that not many people have seen is the snap mat where you can do the fussy cutting. And so I thought I should show you guys that. And yeah, so it makes your fussy cutting easier, and it lets you cut your own paper pieces so you don't have to go and buy them if you don't want to. So I hope that helped, and I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you on Thursday if you're in the club, and otherwise I'll see you next Tuesday. Okay, see you later.